Due dates spike blood sugar. If you're trying to manage your glucose levels, especially if you're over 50, you've probably asked this question more than once. Dates are sweet, delicious, and natural. But are they safe for people with diabetes, or could they be silently pushing your numbers higher than you think? This video is here to give you the truth. In the next few minutes, we'll break down what makes dates so confusing when it comes to blood sugar. You'll find out whether or not dates spike blood sugar and what the latest science actually says about eating them if you're watching your glucose. We'll also talk about how your body responds to the sugar in dates, how portion size changes everything, and the smart ways you can enjoy them, if at all, without creating dangerous blood sugar spikes. Because managing your health doesn't mean cutting out every sweet bite from life. It just means making informed choices. If you're over 50 or living with diabetes, this is the video you need to watch before you reach for another date. Let's get to the facts. 1. What's inside a date? Nutrition breakdown. Dates are often seen as a healthy alternative to processed sugar. They're natural, unrefined, and packed with nutrients. But what's really inside a date that makes it so sweet and potentially problematic? A typical medjool date contains around 16 grams of sugar and 66 calories. That sugar is mostly glucose and fructose, the two simple sugars that cause a rapid rise in blood glucose levels. While dates do contain fiber, about 1.5 grams per fruit, it's not always enough to slow the sugar spike, especially if you eat more than one at a time. On the positive side, dates are rich in potassium, magnesium, and antioxidants. These nutrients support heart health and reduce inflammation, both important for people over 50 and those living with diabetes. They also contain small amounts of iron and B vitamins, which help with energy and metabolism. But here's the catch. Dates are what nutritionists call an energy-dense food. That means a small portion packs a lot of calories and sugar, even though it's natural. Unlike eating an apple or a bowl of berries, you can eat 3 or 4 dates in just a few bites, and that can easily lead to a sugar surge. This is where confusion sets in. People think it's a fruit, it's healthy, and yes, it is. But it's also concentrated. It's like nature's candy. And just because it's from nature doesn't mean it's automatically blood sugar friendly, especially for people with diabetes or prediabetes. Understanding the nutritional profile of dates helps you make informed choices, because when you know exactly what's inside, you're less likely to fall into the trap of assuming all natural sugars are safe. In the next section, we'll answer the big question: do dates spike blood sugar? And what does the science say? 2. Do dates spike blood sugar? The science explained. Now for the question at the heart of it all. Do dates spike blood sugar? The answer is, it depends. But in many cases, yes, they can cause a noticeable spike, especially if eaten in large amounts or without any fiber, fat, or protein to help slow digestion. Dates are naturally high in simple sugars like glucose and fructose, which the body absorbs quickly. This leads to a sharp, fast rise in blood glucose levels, a particular concern for people managing diabetes or trying to avoid glucose fluctuations. However, the story doesn't end there. Despite their sweetness, dates have a glycemic index, GI, that ranges from 42 to 55, depending on the variety and how ripe they are. This places them in the low to moderate GI category. To give you some perspective, white bread has a GI of around 75, which causes a much faster spike in blood sugar. So in theory, dates shouldn't spike blood sugar nearly as aggressively as refined carbs. But there's a catch, and it's called glycemic load. Glycemic load takes into account both the GI and the actual amount of carbohydrate in a typical serving. And when it comes to dates, the glycemic load can be high. One medjool date may only have a moderate GI, but because it's small and dense with sugar, it delivers a concentrated dose of fast-absorbing carbohydrates. If you eat 2 or 3 dates in one sitting, that seemingly modest snack becomes a significant sugar load, which can overwhelm your body's ability to regulate glucose, especially if you're insulin resistant or have type 2 diabetes. In practical terms, this means that even if a food has a moderate GI, eating it in large quantities or without balancing components, like fiber, protein, or fat, can still result in blood sugar spikes. This is why people often experience different reactions to dates depending on how they eat them and how much they consume. Research confirms this nuanced reality. Some small but promising studies show that dates, when eaten in moderation and combined with other whole foods, don't always cause dangerous glucose spikes. In one study, participants with diabetes who consumed 1 to 2 dates per day did not experience significant blood sugar elevation, especially when they paired the fruit with yogurt, nuts, or another source of healthy fat or protein. These pairings slow digestion and buffer the glucose response. However, other studies caution that the natural sugars in dates still require insulin to process. For someone with impaired insulin function or insulin resistance, this can place additional strain on an already overworked system. That's why moderation and timing are so important. Eating dates as part of a balanced meal can make a big difference compared to eating them alone as a quick snack. So, do dates spike blood sugar? They can. But the outcome depends on context. Your portion size, what you eat alongside the dates, and your individual metabolism all play a role. This isn't a food that's strictly good or bad. Like many things in nutrition, the impact is personal and depends on the situation. Understanding this science empowers you to make better decisions. You don't have to fear dates, but you do need to respect them. And if you love the taste, there are smart ways to enjoy them without putting your health at risk. In the next part, we'll break down how to eat dates safely and the simple strategies you can use to prevent blood sugar spikes while still enjoying every bite. 3. How diabetics can safely eat dates. By now, we know that dates can spike blood sugar, but does that mean you have to cut them out completely if you have diabetes? Not necessarily. The key is how you eat them. Portion size is the first rule. 1 medjool date is around 16 grams of sugar. That's manageable for most people if it's the only sugar in the meal. But the moment you eat 3 or 4 in one sitting, especially on an empty stomach, that's when blood sugar problems begin. For most people with diabetes or prediabetes, 1 date per serving is a safe limit, possibly 2 if paired correctly. What you combine with dates matters just as much as how many you eat. Pairing dates with healthy fats or fiber slows down the digestion of sugar. For example, 1 date eaten with a few almonds or a spoonful of Greek yogurt will digest much more slowly than a date eaten alone. The fat and protein act like a buffer, reducing the spike in glucose that would otherwise follow. Timing is important too. Don't eat dates on an empty stomach. Instead, try them as part of a balanced snack or after a meal that already includes fiber, fat, and protein. This slows the release of glucose and prevents a sugar rush. There's also a smart way to use dates as a natural sweetener in cooking. If you blend 1 or 2 dates into a smoothie that includes leafy greens, seeds, and protein powder, you're creating a balanced, blood sugar-friendly option. The other ingredients help manage the sugar release while still letting you enjoy the sweet taste. Another option is energy balls made from oats, nut butter, seeds, and just 1 date. These provide lasting energy without the sugar crash. For people over 50 who want quick energy without risky spikes, this can be a game changer. Of course, individual tolerance varies. If you monitor your blood sugar, try testing before and after eating dates in different ways. That will help you understand how your body responds and what combinations work best for you. Dates don't have to be off limits. When eaten mindfully, in small amounts, and paired with the right nutrients, they can be part of a healthy lifestyle. The key is moderation and awareness. And for many people, That balance is all it takes to turn a potential spike into a satisfying, blood sugar-safe snack. Next, let's wrap everything up with a quick recap and a few final takeaways. If you've been wondering, do dates spike blood sugar? Now you have the full answer. The truth is, dates are naturally sweet and nutrient-rich, but they're also calorie-dense and high in fast-absorbing sugars. That means, yes, they can spike blood sugar, especially when eaten in large amounts or on their own. But that doesn't mean you need to cut them out forever. For most people, especially those managing diabetes or insulin resistance, dates can be part of a balanced diet when eaten in small portions, paired with the right foods, and enjoyed at the right time. A single date combined with healthy fats or fiber-rich foods can satisfy your sweet tooth without sending your blood sugar soaring. The most important takeaway is awareness. Know what you're eating, how much, and how your body reacts. If you're over 50, managing your health isn't about extremes, it's about informed choices. When you understand how natural foods like dates work in your body, you get to enjoy life with more confidence and control. So here's your action plan. Try one date with a handful of nuts or a little yogurt and see how your body feels. Notice your energy, your hunger levels, and if you can, check your glucose response. This kind of mindful eating gives you real, personal insight. And if this video helped you answer the question, do dates spike blood sugar? Just imagine how many others could benefit too. At ActiveHealthCare, we're committed to giving adults over 50 the clearest, most practical health advice possible. Our goal is to help you feel better, stay independent, and make choices that truly support your lifestyle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe to ActiveHealthCare, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss our next tip. And please, share it with someone who might find it useful. It could be exactly what they need today. Managing blood sugar doesn't have to mean giving up everything you love. It just means understanding what works for you. And now, with everything you've learned, you're already one step ahead. Stay well, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.